Welcome to Week 8 mini lecture, Music. This is Jeff Naylor. The history of big band and swing music is widely discussed, but often the part that the Mexican Americans played in this movement has been ignored. In fact, this music has many Mexican American fans from the beginning, especially in California. Mexican Americans' spirited and expressive culture is tied to dance. Beginning with the Lindy Hop in the 1930s, dance became more improvisational. This was fitting with the expressive style associated with Mexican American culture. Mexican Americans demanded respect and publicly asserted themselves throughout the Los Angeles area. In the article Mojo in Motion, Anthony Macias writes of an incident that happened in 1940 involving the La Fiesta Club. This Mexican American social club wanted to hold an event with the Benny Goodman's Orchestra at the Shrine Auditorium, but the permit was denied by the police because white, Filipino, Mexicans, and African Americans were not permitted to dance together. This caused widespread outrage in Southern California. This music scene allowed people to struggle for equality. Zoot suiters and lowriders exercised their rights to assemble in public spaces. Despite the racist music industry of the time and the widespread musical segregation, several Latin American musicians found popularity. Many of these local musicians from the 1930s and 40s came from the diverse neighborhoods such as Boyle Heights and Watts. High school orchestras were popular in the 1940s, and many influential Mexican American musicians got their starts there, including Anthony Ortega, who joined the Jordan High School Hepcats in 1943 at the age of 15. Ortega's friend Chuy Ruiz gave his Pachuco lifestyle to join, later saying that it saved his life since if he had not joined, he probably would have ended up in jail or shot. For these and other Mexican American youths, music offered an escape as well as opportunities for self-expression. East Los Angeles had several carbon copy swing bands that would play covers of popular tunes from Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, etc. However, they also played the occasional bolero or rumba to identify themselves and to please the audience of mostly young Mexican Americans. In the late 1930s war era, downtown dance halls held Battle of the Bands events several times a year to draw in crowds. Locations such as All Nations Club and First and Main were packed with people of every color and creed, drawn by the popularity of the music. The fact that working class Mexican American youths patronized locations such as the Hollywood Palladium shows how deep they become integrated in the mainstream American culture. Locations such as Zenda Ballroom, Royal Palms Hotel, and the Los Angeles Breakfast Club were also very popular among Mexican Americans. While many visited the Palladium to dance, they would not often stay after to visit restaurants. Mixed race venues did not necessarily translate to the streets, as people of color were often seen as unwelcome in certain sections of the city. Also popular around this time were Jamaicans, large block party charity dances. These large events typically held near Catholic churches were like bazaars or carnivals with foods, game, and dancing. They also featured lots of Mexican American music. Even though they were mariachi, bolero, ranchera, etc., most Mexican Americans in Los Angeles at the time were hooked on swing bands. A survey from the era found that most teens spoke Spanish at home. One teenager survey said, we use English always, or why should we use English always? To the Americans, we are just Mexicans, regardless of how hard we try to be like them. Why should we accept the language and customs of another race when we have our own? Still, most second generation Mexican Americans of the time were familiar with the more mainstream American pop culture, including music. Not all Mexican American musicians of the swing era played Mexican American music, even though many played more commercialized jazz and big band swing and had interactions with other ethnic groups. They still faced barriers to advancement. Still, their music should be considered Mexican American music because it reflects the interest and diversity of the generation.